current society constantly increases on the discovery of various cultural, racial, and ethnic groups. The people are understanding and getting used to know about cultures that are not part of them, or the traditions of the cultures but are very rare. And that's not important in the process of knowing and respecting each culture. Learning about other cultures enriches the same culture.
According to our research, it has been shown that young Mexicans, emotionally speaking, feel the same or more sure of themselves than young people of any other nationality. This is simple because they belong to a family. This means that not only is the family given importance, but the individual as a part of the family acquires importance, and therefore, as an individual, it's also important. There are several negative prejudices of Mexico. Some of them are the following. It is considered a very unsafe place, full of drug trafficking, where you cannot live since there is fear of being moved. Many foreign people like to visit Mexico. This is due to its great cultural diversity, such as music, food, beaches, etc. Another reason is its people, they are very friendly, always having the doors of their house open for you. Some of the main factors why foreigners comes to Mexico are the next. One, one of the factors for the foreigners to come to Mexico is to relax, get out of the routine, embark on adventure without schedules, and leave stress behind. Hospitality. Mexicans are considered good hosts. They do everything possible to make people feel welcome and important. The people are very friendly, being a great house, offering a big smile to all our visitors. Doesn't matter where they come from. Family and friends. Many people come to learn more about the culture of Mexico. So Ash, its art, food, and their tourist places. Foreign people feel at ease to the kindness of their host. And finally, a denominating factor that attracts tourists to our country is the warmth of its people, our friendly people.
Well, like any other country, Egypt base his ideas with some stereotypes that can be seen in the media, like the TV, magazines, cartoons, news, etc. However, Egyptians, in some way, they accept other cultures easily. I mean, they accept that you come from another world and they are friendly about it. But they are not rude or something like that. They, like I said, have an idea from your culture because they saw it in the media that says from of your country, like the Mexicans wear sombreros and they live in the desert, and the Americans have always hot dogs and guns, etc. Ideas like that can be sounds rude, but it's what the media shows. But back to the point, and they are open and they are very curious of your culture because they want to know the reality you live. Because it's like I said, it's another world to discover. They want to change their mind about the country to you live. And the Egyptians are always happy to receive people that come from another culture. But this doesn't mean that you shouldn't respect the cultures of Egypt because that doesn't give a good image of your country and you in their country so much. So you must follow their beliefs, and we can talk about the aspects of in what aspects they are conservative and open-minded. Well, in Egypt, most of the people is Muslim, so they follow rules of thousands and thousands of times. So this doesn't mean that they follow strict rules, but they have certain rules that you can drink alcohol. And the woman needs to be covered with clothes. They don't have to wear a burqa, but they need to cover themselves to protect the culture of the Muslim culture that most of the Egyptians have, and in some way protect themselves from the thinking about the men, because Egyptians, in focusing in the men, they all have machist uh, ideas of the woman, so they need to be to take care of herself and be careful in and always try trouble in groups, because they are not dangerous, but it's better be safe than sorry. And but like I said in the beginning, they are very open-minded, but they always going to follow their beliefs, their religion first, than the respect of other cultures. We as Mexicans and like another culture, we assume some things from our cultures because it's, it's that we see in the TV and the internet. We only can see part of other cultures, and in some cases we see simulations of those cultures, like in parodies or movies that take events around that place. That happens with the culture we select. With Egypt, Egypt is a particular country that we always see in movies, series, cartoons, magazines, news, in the museums, and in every place we saw a part of Egypt. And well, we always see that part and that unique part of that country make us generate assumptions and stereotypes, especially in Mexico. We as Mexicans think that Egypt is only a place of pyramids and deserts. Speaking the Egyptians speaking strangely with a mummy in every house, and those houses are made of sand that can take you care about the sandstorms. And because like I said before, the media make us assume these things, these ideas, only by showing us those behaviors and those things in that country that can be happen. The sandstorms and believe that they live around the pyramids. That's not exactly, but the media make show the most interesting part of the country, and that's all we see. Only the interesting part and the comic part about every country in the world. Well, and the news talk about those countries, but only shows the bad things of those countries. Like the most recent um, news about Egypt that talk about an nuclear attack to some Mexican tourists. That's why we assume things, because the only thing we can see is the bad things of the comic parts of the things of that things. Sorry, and we can see this example. We can take this example like the the Plato's allegory of the cave. We only see the things because it's the only we can see. But today we live in a technological world where the information can be shared in a second. But nevertheless, that we're still creating an idea of the country, and the only ones that really cares of the country knows the truth. And like the Egyptians, they like to, when they receive a tourist, they always like to to become their friend, to speak with them because they want to know their cultures. I think this happen in every culture. We always we see a foreign, and we need to talk with them because we need to know more about their cultures. We only see some parts. And another ones, the most popular stereotypes that has the word about Egyptians is like all the Egyptians are Muslim. They live around the pyramids. They love cats to the point to adore them. The woman needs to be covered her body, and the only thing that matters on Egypt is to be beautiful. But we know that reality is different. They might believe around pyramids, but and the truth is they have a big city uh, near the pyramids. Like they not live around town and nothing. They have a big city, El Cairo, around, and there has the most famous pyramids at the Giza and etc. And maybe the woman needs to be covered, but not to the point to be all covered. So they only need to cover um, a little bit to not show something inappropriate to the culture. And they might be most Muslims, but they are Christians too. They, in the past, loved cats, and they might love them too, but in the past, that's why the ancient Egypt is popular. That they love cats, but now is a different reality. That's why I like to call every individual and every culture, country, like a world. Every country has is a worldwide thing. So.
The Mexican culture is characterized for the sexism. It's very common in Mexico having a high level of tolerance of the violence to the woman. It's about of a big series of behavior can seem like natural in Mexico, but in reality are aggressions. Official statistics commend us that 66 of the Mexican women are the victims of a way of violence for the complement until a violation, where the 44 for her couple. There not exists exact data about the feminicides in Mexico, but intellectually we know daily there are 9 deaths of women with presumption of homicide. The sexism we can see reflected each day in couples. We can see this in offensive jokes, jealous, and control the aspect of her couple. It has the ideology for the simple fact of being married is of that person and be around ideology. Also, we can see this behavior in the moment a girl posts where other persons do inappropriate comments about her body. These violent behaviors are like a snowball, and we not see these words or comments convert in hits, and, and in a lot of cases, these hates can be converted in feminicides. As commented before, it's not good see in other countries. Even are intolerate this kind of behaviors. In this country, leading on sanctions for avoid this type of discrimination gender. In actually exists country with a high level of gender equality in where these behaviors is less. In this country, we find Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden, etc. Now I'm going to talk about of some stereotypes that other countries have of Mexico. The stereotypes are the next. It is considered a place replete of drug trafficking, existing a lot of insecurity. Also are very recognized for their traditional food. The most popular food are the tacos. For other side, some persons consider it that the Mexicans all use hats and are very lazy. They think we all always be asleep under a tree with a hat, tequila, and maracas. They consider it in Mexico we love the mariachis existing in each corner of their country. Um, some of the stereotypes are idealized for content seen in the television like cartoons and series. Now I'm going to talk about the unique history of Mexico. The Mexican culture is a result of the tradition indigenous and the Spanish culture imposed for the colonizations. Some native cultures that give an origin to the Mexican culture are the Mayan culture, Mexican culture, Toltec culture, etc. The Mexican cultural world is for a mix of European elements and her legacy indigenous. In the Mexican culture stand out aspects like the gastronomy. The UNESCO considered the Mexican gastronomy like an immaterial heritage of the mankind. Other important aspects worldwide are her visual art, in especial the paints, where standouts artists like Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo, José Clemente Orozco, and David Alfaro Siqueiros. And finally, we need to mention the Mexican culture have a big prestige in a world level where stand out her tourist activity and her diversity because Mexico is a country mega diverse. The tourist activity is the reason why the Mexico is one of the most popular countries visited in the world.
And now, what we want to hear when someone speaks about Mexico? Well, we want to hear stories about some team positive, not like the corruption, drugs, and narco traffic, violence, and etc. We want to hear not, news about uh, stories more like the earthquake of September 19 of 1985 and 2017, when people rather themselves to save peoples and be silenced to save those peoples. The silence was so important in those moments of panic and scare. We we as Mexicans understand that and we keep silence to hear those lives who was on it. And we want to hear stories about the music, like Jorge Negrete, José José, Juan Gabriel, Vicente Fernández, Pedro Infante, and those songs about love that show us how Mexicans can see that beautiful emotion that is love, how we perceive that emotion, and stories about our cinema with our golden age like Cantinflas and Pedro Infante. And the comedy and the love are shown in those characters. We see the life of the Mexicans, the parrandero, the el maestro. Those movies shows the reality of Mexico and how we perceive that. And with Pedro Infante show us the love of, of the Mexican have in those times. And we want to hear those stories when someone speaks about Mexico.
According to the research we carried out, we can conclude that Egyptian culture is very similar to Mexican culture, since both have several dimensions at the same levels, although they also differ in other aspects. that are less but not irrelevant. The Mexican culture is characterized by the great values full of friendship and affection. That when a Mexican receives you, it is with all the love possible. And in addition to this, the understanding that this person has with all the cultures that do not belong to their culture. They are people but that are very inclusive in their daily life and they do not seek problems and only work to life. We understand that cultural diversity is inherent to human beings and contributes to their enrichment, and there are different ways of feeling, thinking, living, and living together. This diversity enriches the essential similarity that all human beings have.
I think that Mexico is a country with a big cultural diversity because Mexico is a country that doesn't distinguish other cultures. Instead, they open their doors to other countries so they can know more about us, and in that way, we can know more about other countries, and probably we can increase in our diversity.
Well, my conclusion with Egypt is that it's an special country where you can find diversity. There are many people living and visiting it, but they feel accepted and they are British. But in some way, their beliefs in Egypt make the country that is looks from the past. With this, I mean that they follow rules, like I said before, that make Egypt like look with a little bit of diversity because in some way they always will look first with their religion and then they will look to other cultures. That doesn't mean that they doesn't accept other cultures. They only have their own way to think. They only will search for their beliefs, and then they are going to accept some cultures. And so, in conclusion, Egypt is a special country, but where diversity is um, can be I can say that is useful, but in their own way.